What's up, people? Joe Winko here, your favorite Hawaiian guy, and here's my next episode of Joe Winko Talk. So, before I get to what I'm going to be talking about in this episode of Joe Winko Talk, I want to give you guys some happy news first. I finally got a new bandana. Well, my grandma ordered it for me. It's one that's custom printed, and I'm going to be wearing it from now on because the other one that I had faded to an orange color, and it took me forever to notice that it wasn't red, that it was orange. And I didn't really feel too good about that because red is the color that I really identify with. So yeah, just wanted to announce that and thank my grandma for getting me this new bandana. This is not going to be a very happy episode of Joe Winko Talk. It's going to be another somewhat personal one. I wouldn't necessarily say that it's morbid and gloomy, even though it actually kind of is, but not to the level of my other episodes of Joe Winko Talk. So there's actually one thing that I want to say real quick. I know what a lot of you guys are going to say. You're going to be typing in, Joe, you're expecting way too much from people. You're bound to get disappointed. I've heard that so many times before. I don't need to hear it again from anyone else. If you type that in, that's just going to make me angry. So just keep it to yourself. And I know another thing that you guys are going to type in. Oh, Joe, you can't just expect someone to drive you to Alabama. Or, oh, Joe, you should try to get to Alabama by yourself. Don't even go there. Don't even go there. I do not need to hear that again. You're not going to do anything but make me angry. And I'm just going to delete your comment and ban you from my channel. Just letting you guys know. I mean, gosh, really. So the first thing is, those of you who've been watching me on YouTube long enough and been following me long enough, you guys should all know that I really like to go on road trips and I really love adventure, really. And every place I do end up going, I always do a video there. Because I don't just want my videos to just be of me sitting in my bedroom talking about stuff. And I always try to get out, really. But a lot of people really aren't familiar with my YouTube channel or how things go for me, really. Like when they see my videos and scroll through my channel and see all my adventure videos, they always assume that I'm getting there by myself and that I go there by myself. And every now and then I'll get messages on these sites that I'm on. People ask me, oh, Joe, when are you coming to here? Or Joe, do you ever come here? Or anything like that. And it kind of strikes a nerve with me from time to time because the truth is, I never get anywhere by myself. I don't have a car at all, so I can't get anywhere by myself. When you see me doing a YouTube video at a place that's not my bedroom, someplace that's away and everything, the truth is that I did not get there by myself. Someone had brought me there. I never get anywhere by myself. Just letting you guys all know. And most of the time when you see me somewhere else doing a YouTube video, it's always someone who I met online who brought me there. Unless it's my adoptive parents, it's 100% someone I met online. There's quite a few places that I've been wanting to visit for a while, and one of those places are northern Alabama. And strangely enough, it's one of the places that are actually extremely close to where I live, because I live in northern Florida, and Alabama is literally only one state away. And I've been talking about how I've been wanting to go there for a long time. The reason why is because there was this really bad tornado that struck northern Alabama, and I've been wanting to go there and do a YouTube video about the tornado. Basically the exact same thing I did for the tri-state tornado, which was the longest tornado in US history, and my adoptive dad took me on a long drive across the path of the tri-state tornado, and I did a video about where it went. This specific tornado in Alabama that I wanted to do a video about was the second longest traveling tornado behind the tri-state tornado. And it actually happened a lot more recently. Still a long time ago, but a lot more recently in year 2011. I've been wanting to go there since 2018 to northern Alabama to cover the path of this tornado. There was actually one person who was going to take me there, or at least said they were going to take me there. And it was this man in his 50s, who claimed to be in his 50s, who was watching me on YouTube. This isn't his real name, but let's just say that his name is Glenn. He emailed me like in November of 2018. I remember it was November of 2018. And he was telling me that he really liked my videos on YouTube and he thought they were really cool, and he really liked my adventure videos on YouTube. And he said that he wanted to have me come visit him and he wanted to go on a road trip with me. And I thought that that was an awesome idea, and he gave me his phone number and I started talking on the phone with him. He told me that he lived in this town near Birmingham, Alabama, and I don't remember the town name because it's been a while since I talked to him, but basically he was asking me where would I want a road trip to, and I told him that there was this really bad tornado that tore across northern Alabama that I wanted to do a video about, basically showing the areas where it hit and how far the tornado traveled, exactly as I had done for the tri-state tornado, but this was actually before I actually filmed that video. And he thought that that sounded like an interesting idea, and he said that he wanted to take me up to northern Alabama so I could film that video. He also sent me a picture of him too, and this is the picture that he sent me. I only saw one picture of him, and again, we never video chatted or anything. We just called each other and talked on the phone, but this was the picture that he sent me. Alright, so that's Glenn right there, the guy who I was talking to, or what he claimed to be him. And I actually thought he was pretty handsome when I saw that picture. Like, I remember when I was talking to him, I told him that he reminded me of Woody from Toy Story, and clearly he didn't know who that is, because that was some kid's movie that came out in the 90s, and this guy is in his 50s, so he's not going to know who Woody from Toy Story is. However, another thing that I should make very clear is that he didn't ever flirt with me at all or seem interested in me that way, really. So it was strictly platonic between us, because usually when a guy likes me that way, he makes it like extremely obvious, like right away. Like 100% of the time, I never had anyone who was like too shy to say that they liked me like that or anything. But usually they make it completely obvious right away. I mean, all the time they make it directly obvious right away. But I wasn't getting any vibes that he was interested in me that way. So back in November of 2018, I gave him my phone number and we actually called each other and talked to each other for the first time. And he seemed pretty excited to be talking to me, more than I would think, because he was going like, "Oh my god, I can't believe I'm talking to you. I watched all your videos on YouTube. You're so cool. This is mind-blowing." Like, he was saying stuff like that, really. And I thought he seemed pretty nice. I remember when I posted that picture of him on Facebook a couple days ago, a few people were commenting on it and they said, "There's something really off about that guy. I'm glad you didn't go to meet him." But the thing is, I mean, when I saw that picture, I thought he looked like a pretty friendly person, really, but now that I think of it, there kind of is something off about him. As I was saying earlier, he looked like Woody from Toy Story, but nowadays, whenever I see that picture, I think he looks like Michael Myers from Halloween. And he kind of was like Michael Myers from Halloween, but I'm going to be getting to that later. So I told him, just send me a bus ticket to Birmingham, Alabama, and we can go across northern Alabama and do the video about that really bad tornado that happened. And he thought it was an awesome idea, and he was excited to meet me. But when I tried asking him, when are we going to order the ticket, he said, oh, we'll do that sometime. I'll need to figure out when you can come here. And then eventually, very soon after that actually, I stopped hearing from him, and he just completely ghosted me, and I didn't hear from him again. Like when I tried to call him or text him, he wouldn't reply at all, and when I tried calling him, he wouldn't answer. It would go straight to voicemail. So then it was very clear to me that he had actually flaked on me. Like, he said that he would be inviting me to northern Alabama, but he didn't. And at that time, it wasn't really my first time going through something like that, really. I mean, I had lots of guys I talked to online flake on me before, but this time it was a bit different. Because 4 months later, around February or March of 2019, like literally out of nowhere, he texted my phone and said, oh hey, sorry I didn't get back to you earlier. I want to talk to you again. I still want you to visit. We should go on the road trip with each other. And I even tried asking him, dude, what happened? I haven't heard from you in 4 or 5 months. And he said that the first time he said that his mother was sick or something and he had to help her with something. I don't really remember exactly, but something along the lines of that. And then I was just like, oh, well, okay, when do you want to have me come visit you in Alabama? And he said, oh, I'll make sure to get you the bus ticket soon. And we talked on the phone a couple more times. I tried not to bring it up too much because it wouldn't go anywhere, and it seemed like he'd get uncomfortable whenever we would talk about that. But he said that he was going to do it and everything. We were in contact at that time, the second time he got back in contact with me, for like roughly a week or so. And when I asked him, when are you going to send the bus ticket, or when are we going to get the bus ticket, that's when once again he cut off contact with me and I didn't hear from him again. Until the next summer of 2019, then I suddenly heard from him again, and basically the exact same thing happened. Like, except that time when I tried asking him, why did it take you so long to get back to me? He didn't really have an excuse. He basically just ignored that question and then started talking to me again. I told him, okay, like, you should have me come up to northern Alabama and visit you, like you said back in February, and also like you said back in November. And he would tell me that he would get the bus ticket, and then a week or so after we were in contact with each other and talking to each other again, he'd flake out on me and completely disappear, wouldn't answer any of my calls, and then I would just go on with my life and say he flaked on me again. Somehow I wasn't really noticing it enough, really. I wasn't really seeing the pattern right away. Fast forward to 2020, coronavirus happens. I didn't hear from him the whole entire time of 2020. Fast forward to summer of 2021, he finally got back in contact with me. Somehow I did not notice that that much time had passed since the last time he contacted me. He did the same thing again. Fast forward to February of 2022. That's the last time I heard from him. He did the exact same thing again, said that he wanted to invite me up to Alabama to come visit him so we could do a video about the tornado. And I told him, oh, well, this is how I wanted the video to be. And I sent him the link to my actual tri-state tornado video that I did. That was a road trip my adoptive dad took me on. And I said, so yeah, that's how I wanted it to be. And I told him that I had it all planned out. Then he canceled on me and flaked on me again. I mean, I could call his phone right now and he most likely will not answer. But that's the last time I heard from him, February of 2022. And back in early 2022, I was kind of going through some stuff, and I finally saw it by then, what he was doing, that he would keep getting back in contact with me, tell me that he wants to take me to Alabama, have me visit him in Alabama, go on a road trip with him through Alabama, he'd get excited, I'd get even more excited, and then out of nowhere he would cancel on me and flake on me, really. And I highly doubt that I'm ever going to hear from him again. However, that whole entire time, I still wanted to go and visit northern Alabama. So I tried finding someone else to take me to northern Alabama, and I absolutely had virtually no luck with that so far, really. I mean, out of all the time I spent trying to find someone to take me to Alabama, I never found anyone to take me to Alabama. The only person who actually did take me to Alabama was my adoptive dad, and that was before I even wanted to cover the whole tornado track. That was when he took me there to Mobile, Alabama, because that was the first place I wanted to visit in Alabama, was Mobile. And that was literally right before I wanted to go there to visit the path of the tornado that I was talking about earlier. I did post like a couple ads on the rideshare section of Craigslist, but I haven't really had much luck with those at all. And in addition to that, I also tried asking a lot of guys on Grindr if they would give me a ride to northern Alabama, because I always think that, let me show you the map of everywhere I want to go in northern Alabama. Now, I always believed that if it was really possible to take that map, show it to every single guy living in Florida and every single guy living in Alabama and all the surrounding states, you would be bound to find at least one guy who would want me to get in the car with them and who would be very interested in driving me up to Alabama through all the spots that were hit by the tornado, and would be very proud to be the one to take me up there, and would be happy to do that with me. However, I absolutely had no luck with that at all. I kind of understand a tad bit why I haven't been able to find anyone living in Alabama who would want to have me go visit them, because I don't mean to be offensive or anything, but Alabama is part of the South, and the South is a bit notorious for being a poor region in the USA, which is exactly why I can't go to Alabama by myself, really. So it's a bit understandable that I never found anyone from Alabama to send me a bus ticket to go and visit them, really. However, here in Florida, all the guys who I've been asking to take me to Alabama on Grindr, they're all a bunch of gay guys, and for some stupid reason, gay guys are scared to go to Alabama. Well, all of them except for me are scared to go to Alabama. And I honestly think that's the dumbest thing ever, really. Let me show you guys a picture of my profile on Grindr. Here it is. I had typed all over my profile that I was looking for someone to take me to northern Alabama. I kept trying to find someone on Grindr to take me to Alabama, because that's what a lot of people on Reddit kept telling me. They said, oh, well, if you live in Florida, why don't you just try searching on Grindr for someone to take you back and forth from Alabama? And every single guy I talked to on Grindr, I mean, this didn't really surprise me at first, but after a while it eventually did, because I figured I would eventually run into someone. Every single guy I talked to on Grindr told me that they don't want to take me to Alabama. And at first, like, I was upset about that, but then I started blocking every single guy who told me that they didn't want to take me to Alabama. And at first I didn't want to do that. I would ask them to block me, but they wouldn't. The reason why I would ask them to block me is because I thought at the time that Grindr had a blocking limit, and at the time they did. Like, a while ago, because I've been using Grindr for a maddening long time, a lot longer than I should have. A while ago, Grindr used to have a limit on how many guys you can block on that app. Like, if you block like too many guys, then they tell you, oh, you're out of blocks for today, you have to wait till tomorrow to block more guys. or they would say you have to pay and upgrade your subscription to Grindr or something like that. But this is exactly how I found out that Grindr actually got rid of the block limit, and it made the whole process of elimination a very doable thing, really. And for those of you guys who aren't familiar with the term process of elimination, let me read to you the definition of it that I found online. The act of considering and rejecting each possible choice until only one is left. So basically exactly like that. I mean, it's almost self-explanatory. Well, it is self-explanatory, really, but you guys know how I am. I always try to explain things very thoroughly. You can blame my autism mind for that. Hell, you can even blame my autism mind for being so fascinated with a long-track tornado that struck Alabama and wanting to go up there and do a video about it. And it basically was kind of putting my exact theory to the test. If you show that map of everywhere I've been wanting to be taken to in Alabama, and you show it to every single guy in Florida or Alabama or Georgia, you're eventually going to find one person who's going to be up for that, at least one person. But I haven't had much luck with that. Every single guy was telling me, oh no, I ain't going to Alabama, or they would tell me, no, I have to work, I can't go to Alabama. And as soon as they said that, I would just block them. As soon as I found out that Grindr got rid of the block limit, which clearly it did, because I blocked so many men, I would just block them. And I just kept blocking. When they said that they can't take me to Alabama, I'd block them and block them and block them. And I ended up spending a lot of time doing that. Apparently I had blocked 600 men on Grindr so far, at least 600, because it had a number keeping track of how many guys I had blocked. And the weird thing is, men living in the state of Georgia are starting to show up on my Grindr radar. Because how Grindr works is it senses the guys who are closest to you. Say you go to Miami and you pull out your cell phone and go on Grindr, it's going to show you guys living in Miami because the whole point of Grindr is to meet other gay guys, and it shows you the gay guys who are closest to you. And as I said earlier, I live in northern Florida. But if you were to like continuously start blocking people on Grindr over and over and over again, eventually you're going to run out of guys in Florida, in northern Florida, which is exactly what I did. So it's going to start pulling guys from Georgia and start showing them to me. And that's what I've been noticing. I started messaging a couple guys on there, and they said, oh, why are you messaging me if you live that far away? And they tell me that they live in Georgia, and I'm like, whoa, I blocked that many guys already? And they said, yeah, why did you block so many guys? And I tell them that I'm looking for someone to take me to Alabama for a couple days. And then they tell me that they're not interested in taking me to Alabama either, even though it's only one state away from them also, even closer for them. And then I just keep hitting block, and I keep hitting block over and over again, and I just block all of them. And I have talked to a couple people about that, how I've been blocking tons of men on Grindr. And the thing is, there's a couple responses that people have given me. I mean, they're my friends on Facebook who I've been talking about it with. Now, one of my best friends, she commented on my post on Facebook where how I was talking about how I'm blocking tons of men on Grindr, trying to find a ride to Alabama. She typed in, oh, you're blocking guys. What if you block the one guy who actually would take you to Alabama? And I replied to her and I said, well, if they actually would take me to Alabama, they have a horrible way of saying it because clearly they wouldn't. That's why I hit block. Because I asked them, are you free a couple days this week or next week? Because in all honesty, I'm trying to go there soon. I really want to go there before my birthday, and it's a long story as to why I want to go there before my birthday. It's kind of a superstitious thing, really. And I also wanted to go there before it gets too cold, because as you guys all know, I do all my YouTube videos shirtless, and Alabama is further north than Florida, so it gets cold there. Not like Wisconsin cold, but still an uncomfortable cold, really. However, I'm usually able to brace for the cold pretty well, but I was trying to get there as early as possible. It was mainly like this month, these past 2 months, like October, November, when I really became like dead set on going to northern Alabama for some reason, because this is a place that I've been wanting to go to for an extremely long time, since November 2018, and it's November of 2022 right now. That's like me wanting to do something, wanting to go somewhere, trying to find someone to take me somewhere, all the way back in 1998, and it being year 2002, the early 2000s, almost 2003, and I still haven't found anyone to take me there yet. Like something that I've been wanting to do in the 90s, but still hadn't accomplished in the early 2000s. It seems a lot longer when you think of it that way, but it's basically the same amount of time. That's literally more than twice the amount of time I spent with living with my biological uncle in the Dominican Republic. And that's also the same amount of time that people spend in high school. That's like all 4 years of high school. And still haven't found anyone? I mean, it's not like I'm asking someone to fly me out to China or take me on a boat to China. It's Alabama. That's one state away, really. And I wasn't even going to be up there for very long because, like, all the stops that I wanted to make in Alabama, mainly the main thing is I would just want to get to all of them by daylight. For my tri-state tornado video, that video literally only took 2 days to film, really. Me and my adoptive dad, we drove down from Wisconsin to Missouri, then we drove across the path of the tri-state tornado. We did half of it in one day, and then we did like the other half of it the next day. I wouldn't even call it the other half. We were more than halfway done the first day. But the one tornado that happened in northern Alabama was actually a lot less than the tri-state tornado path. So I rounded it up to 2 days because you have to remember it's winter time. The sun sets a lot earlier than it does in the summer. And I wanted to make it to all the stops by daylight, but I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do that in one day. So that's why I rounded it up to 2 days. And whenever I message a guy on Grindr and tell him that I was only going to be up there for 3 days, that includes the drive up there and the drive back because it's Alabama. It's not that far away, really. But still, they would keep telling me no. They'd keep telling me, no, I ain't going to Alabama. I'm not taking you to Alabama. And then I just hit block and I just start blocking all of them for process of elimination to make room for one guy who eventually will be open to taking me to Alabama. Because whenever you block a guy on Grindr, another guy will show up and take his place on your Grindr radar. And apparently now, guys from Georgia are starting to show up. And then I remember I was talking to one of my YouTube followers and friends about this. And I was even telling them, if I keep blocking all these guys on Grindr, eventually guys from Alabama are eventually going to show up. And that wouldn't be too bad, actually, if like a guy in Birmingham, Alabama, if guys from Birmingham, Alabama suddenly started appearing on my Grindr radar, then I could just ask one of them to send me a bus ticket. They don't have to be down here in Florida with me, really. But then there was another thing that someone else brought up to me on Facebook. They started telling me, oh, well, why don't you just get to know them more first? They probably just don't trust you. That's why they're not taking you to Alabama. Well, it would be completely different if one of these guys told me, oh, well, Joe, that does sound fun, but I need to get to know you more first. How many times do you think out of all 600 plus guys I blocked on Grindr over the past few weeks, how many men do you think have told me that? I can literally count on one hand, really. And then the guys who told me that, I eventually end up blocking them anyway, because then they act like they're scared to give me their phone number because they think I'm a spam bot. Despite me having a YouTube channel, I honestly never in my life heard of a spam bot on Grindr looking for someone to give them a ride to Alabama, really. or having a YouTube channel either. That's so stupid. And you would think that someone who has blocked more than 600 guys on Grindr would not be running into any assholes at all. Well, somehow I kind of been able to, really. For example, just like 3 or 4 days ago, I met this one guy on Grindr, and he didn't really sound like he was all there. He talked in a voice like this, and he kind of sounded out of it like this, and to be completely honest with you guys, I didn't really think anything of it at first. I thought that that was probably just the way he talked. Like, I asked him if he wanted to take me to Alabama, and then he actually said yes, and I had to double look at that at first, because I wouldn't expect anyone to say yes that abruptly. And I was like, oh, really? Oh, okay, well then let's meet up and hang out then. Because it wasn't like I was just gonna randomly jump in the car with anyone and go to Alabama. I'd want to make sure we hang out first and see how we get along. And then there was other stuff I had to prepare before we go to Alabama. I gave him the address to the post office, and he called me on the phone and said he'd be there in 1 minute. And I kind of misunderstood exactly what he meant by that, because usually I thought that just meant he was getting close, and I told him, well, call me when you're actually there, because it takes me a little bit of time to walk out there. But then what ended up happening is my blood sugar ended up going low, and I was kind of out of it for a couple minutes, not even that long, probably 5 or 6 minutes from the time he arrived there. And then I finally took care of that. I had some of my glucose tablets, and I called him because I was still getting some stuff together. And I asked him if he was out there, and he was angry, even though he was only out there for 5 or 6 minutes. He says, "Yeah, I'm here. Where the hell are you?" And you know what? I don't know why I didn't just say to him that I'm not interested. Please go home. But I was thinking, okay, if this is a guy who wants to take you to Alabama, and you know what? Looking back on it and talking about it right now, that really was a stupid decision. But I walked out of the house and went to meet him, and I walked really fast to get there. And I had my mask on and everything, because even when I go outside, like if I was alone in the car with him, it'd be different. But when I'm outside in the town that I live in, I always put my mask on for some reason. Really because I'm scared of COVID, but also because I'm living in a vacation home complex, and I have some bad karma with some of the people here. I mean, I don't really get along with some of the people here, and they don't know what I look like because I always wear my PPE all the time. They never seen my face before. And you know, I really don't want them to see my face. So whenever I go out from my vacation home complex, I always wear my PPE mask, my mask, and not really the goggles or face shield, but just the mask to cover up half of my face. I walked into the parking lot, and you have to remember, I walked into the parking lot of the post office. It is like 9 or 10 a.m. This idiot calls me on the phone. Clearly, he spotted me right away. He says, "Oh, are you wearing a mask?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm wearing a mask right now." And he says, "Oh, well, we're not going to get along. I don't want to go anywhere with you if you're wearing a mask." And, you know, at first I thought he was just one of those stupid people who don't take COVID seriously at all, or one of those COVID anti-believers. But, like, I just rolled my eyes and shook my head, and I was pretty pissed off, really. And I texted him, telling him, "I'm going to talk about you in my next episode of Joe Winko Talk." And I clicked send, pushed send. Right as I was doing that, I bumped into him. He was standing right behind me. And he was, like, I looked into his eyes. I can kind of tell that he wasn't really all there, really. I don't know if he was on, I really don't think he was on drugs or anything, because, like, I told this to a couple of my YouTube followers, a couple of my YouTube friends since this happened, because I do talk to some of my YouTube followers. Like, when they reach out to me, I obviously talk to them, as you saw with Glenn earlier. I'm going to be getting back to him soon. But I told some of my YouTube followers about that, and all of them said that he must have been on drugs, like meth or something. That's what they were all saying. But he didn't look like a meth user. He wasn't like really frail and really skinny or dried up or anything like that. he actually was like pretty heavy set, but he seemed like really out of it. I'm more inclined to believe that he had some psychological conditions. Somehow I didn't notice those right away, but I definitely noticed them then. And he was all mad at me for wearing the mask. And then I was telling him, I just wear this mask because I'm worried about coronavirus. I'm not going to be wearing it the whole time. And he's like, oh, well, what if you try to shoot me or rob me out in this parking lot? Okay, it is broad daylight. There are people, I mean, and this isn't just some parking lot that's out in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, the town I'm living in is definitely out in the middle of nowhere, but it's really a happening town. When you walk down the street if you were walking down the street this day, you would see people out, you'd see people moving around. The post office is is in a shopping center, literally. There's people walking all around, going back and forth to their cars. Even people turning around, looking at us, looking at how weird this guy is being. And I'm like, dude, it's just a mask. I wear it all the time. And then I took it off. And then I said, there, I took it off, happy. And then he's like, you took so long to get out here. And I was like, it only took me a couple minutes. And my blood sugar went low. Gosh. And he says, oh, well, what about me? You weren't thinking about me at all. You weren't asking me if I was okay. And he was literally saying all this to me at the post office parking lot. And I'm like, who the fuck says all this to me? And I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to turn around and go home. This guy is not right in the head. And I just like turned around and left and went home. And that asshole had the nerve to text me right afterwards and said, I wish you the best of luck. You know, there's one thing that really pisses me off when people tell me good luck or I wish you the best of luck, especially when it's a guy who I was talking to on Grindr or any dating site. It's just like when Southern people tell you, bless your heart. Like, when a Southerner tells you, bless your heart, they don't mean that in a nice way. That's really a disguised kind way of telling you to like fuck off or something something like that. It's really not a nice thing to say to someone. And when I take that the same way when someone tells me good luck, it pisses me off. And then I got mad, told him to shut the fuck up, and I'm going to be talking about him in my next episode of Joe Winko Talk. And here I am, and I don't even remember what this asshole's name is. I mean, I did share a picture of him on Facebook and say that I fucking hate this guy, but yeah, that's as far as it went. I mean, I do that a lot, really. But you would think someone who blocks 600 plus guys on Grindr wouldn't run into assholes like that, but apparently they do. Which brings me to another guy. Let's just say his name was Devin. And I literally met this guy last week. Now, he was talking to me on Grindr, and he saw that I was looking for someone to take me to Alabama. And I was telling him about how all the other guys are too scared to go to Alabama for some reason, or don't want to go to Alabama. Basically don't want to. I don't think anyone there is actually scared to. I think they think that driving through northern Alabama would be boring and lame and that they don't want to do it with me. And that's basically the exact reason why, honestly. And most of them don't even give a toss why I even want to go to Alabama. Like, very few people ask me, why do you want someone to take you to Alabama? And very few people ask me about that. When I tell them that I want to do a video about a tornado that hit, they flies right over their head. Like most of the other stuff about me, really. But he thought it would actually be interesting. And this was like a week ago, literally a week ago. And I told him, oh, okay, let's get together and hang out. So I went and met up with Devin. And he was this man like in his 60s. He was skinny. Just imagine a skinny 60-year-old white guy. Well, he wasn't really that white. He looked like he was able to tan up very well, but he definitely didn't look ethnic at all. But we got together. He was talking to me. He talked in this southern accent, in this country southern accent. He told me that he was from North Carolina. He told me he told me about some business he had. I forgot the specifics on it. He said that he was really rich, that he worked from home, and that he was interested in recruiting a bunch of young guys to work for his business. A bunch of stuff that kind of flew over my head because I was thinking about Alabama the whole entire time. This is the map that I was holding. And like we went to the park and I opened up this map and I showed him this was a map that someone ordered for me online a long time ago. I didn't really notice how big it actually was. Oh, here it is. I pointed I pointed out to him all the places in northern Alabama that I wanted us to go to, and I told him I was going to do the video about the tornado that hit, and it traveled all across northern Alabama, that it was the second longest track tornado in world history, and that it was also the deadliest tornado in Alabama history. He thought that that sounded like an awesome idea. He was said that he was impressed by how much I knew about it. I didn't really pick up on this so much. I was just getting really excited for it because it really seemed like he wanted to take me to Alabama. But looking back on how he was acting, it seemed more like it was ass kissing, really. And I'm not talking about literal ass kissing. I mean, it almost seemed like he was like mooching up to me for some reason, which I thought was kind of weird because like I was not exactly sure how to explain that. But, like, I told him that I wanted to make a video about the tornado that hit, and I told him, oh, I made another one before about the tri-state tornado, and I wanted to show a bit of it to him. So I pulled out my phone, Google searched the tri-state tornado video that I made, and we watched it together, and I skipped through a couple parts of it, and then I showed him the part where I was standing at the Loggers Lake campground in Missouri, and I was talking about how that's where the tornado started. And then we got to the part where the tornado was touching down, and then he was all interested by it and fascinated by it, and he's like, oh, you filmed all this? This is so cool! And then he saw the tornado touching down, and he was like, holy smokes, were you actually out there while all that was going on? And I was like, oh no, that wasn't really going on. That was CGI. That wasn't a real tornado. I added that in because there's no pictures of the tri-state tornado. And he was like, holy smokes, you actually did all that? Oh my gosh, you're gonna be famous one day. That's a common thing I hear from time to time from the people who actually watch my stuff, really. And I was just like, oh well, and I thought that was really nice of him. He legitimately seemed really excited to be taking me to Alabama. We were actually supposed to be on the road tonight, going to, well, actually 2 days ago we were supposed to be on the road because that's the date he said we were going to leave. On November 11th, that's when we were supposed to be leaving to go to northern Alabama. And me and him were together like around, well, I said it was like 2 weeks, no, it wasn't 2 weeks ago, it was roughly like 1 week ago. We were together like literally a week ago on November 7th, and we were supposed to hang out again the next day. I mean, because we called each other that night. He said that I was really cool and really creative. The next day we were supposed to get together. He said that some stuff with his business got in the way because we were supposed to get together early the next morning. But then I was like, oh, okay, and I still have the text message he sent. I'll have a screenshot of it included in this video if you guys want to see it. He said, sorry, we got work and didn't get finished yet, so can't get to you by 7, but we'll get together today, I promise, sorry again. Well, that was definitely a promise that he broken, because after that, I never heard back from him again. And I was pretty upset about that. Plus, I was in a weird mood that day. I wanted to get away, really. And he never got back to me, and I have not heard from him since. And you know, I honestly thought that that was the most fucked up thing, really. I mean, it's different when a guy you talk to online flakes on you and stabs you in the back. But when it's someone who you actually meet in person, actually someone who you actually show a real map to, and they seem really excited for it, and then out of nowhere they completely flake on you and you never hear from them again. Like, because I did try calling him back quite a few times, never heard back from him again. And there was another thing. He gave me this bracelet when we met. he said that he, like, because I complimented him on it, he was wearing like a whole bunch of these around both of his wrists. And I said, oh, those bracelets are really cool. And he was like, oh yeah, you want to have one? I'd love to put one on you. So he like I didn't even say yes. He just like put it on my arm and clipped it on me. And he gave me this bracelet, and I was like, oh, cool, I like it, I'll keep it. And I thought it was really cool. I actually like the way this bracelet looks. Nowadays, I still love this bracelet, but nowadays it serves as a reminder to me that people aren't always honest. They're gonna flake on you and stab you in the back, even for no reason. And I was just trying to figure out, why would someone do that? What do they get out of that? I mean, this man telling me that he's going to take me on a drive up to northern Alabama and then completely disappear on me and flake on me, or even getting back to Glenn. Why would he do that? Like, get so excited to be talking on the phone with me and then tell me that he's going to take me up to Alabama and then flake on me, literally. I mean, it makes no sense. And some of you guys may be saying, with the first guy I was talking about, Glenn, that you guys may be saying, oh, he probably just wanted to talk to you, and that would give you a really good reason to talk to him, and he liked talking to a person he was watching on YouTube, and that excited him. That's why he lied to you and told you that he was going to take you to Alabama. But to be completely honest with you guys, I think his intentions were a bit more, I don't necessarily want to say sinister, but I want to say like a bit more low down than that, really. Now, the thing is, this is just an example because I get mean comments everywhere. There's one site that I use called Reddit where people go out of their way to bash me about stuff for no reason. People online always bash me, and it seems like they get off on bashing people. There's people who get off on being mean to people and doing stuff like that. Another thing that you guys have to remember is that when Glenn first contacted me, I was pretty young back in 2018. I definitely am still young now, obviously, but I was much younger back in 2018. So I wasn't really picking up on stuff. Like, I knew that people flake on you, but I just thought it was weird that he kept coming back over and over again. And this is what I think. This is what I gathered with my autism mind. I honestly think that it's kind of a power trip for them. I mean, these people see me, they know that I'm a bit out there, they know I'm a bit eccentric, they know that I'm weird and everything. They know that I really want to go to northern Alabama. They know that that's something I'm passionate about. And then, I mean, people have sick ideals for fun, people have weird ideals for fun. They just think, oh, what if I get this person really excited, tell them that I'm going to take them to Alabama, I just feel like bullshitting someone right now, and then at the last minute I pull a 360 on them, stab them in the back, and then have them get really upset about it. Wouldn't it be fun if I had that much power over someone's emotions? And that, I honestly think that's exactly what Glenn was doing. I think that he probably is some bored guy living up in Alabama with nothing to do. He finds a famous YouTuber online, one who's easily accessible, one that you're able to contact, because if you try sending an email to Logan Paul or Lele Pons, they're not going to get back to you at all. Most likely they're not going to get back to you. But if you try sending one to Joe Winko, he's definitely most likely going to get back to you if it doesn't get lost in my spam folder. But he's definitely most likely going to get back to you. I am. And then that's what they did. He knew that I really wanted to go on a road trip, and he knew that I really wanted to go to Alabama. So then he was using that, got me really excited for it. I was excited to visit him. Then at the last minute, he pulled a 360 on me and stabbed me in the back and said that he wasn't going to take me and upset me for it. And for all I know, he probably actually wanted me to do a YouTube video about him. Because usually when I'm doing a YouTube video of me talking about someone who I've met and someone who I've encountered and everything, it's usually not a happy video. It's usually that they did something bad and that they stabbed me in the back. And he's probably going to end up watching this video, and he's probably going to see me talking about him in this video. I can totally see him laughing at this video right now, like, oh, I upset Joe Winko, I made it to one of the people he talks about in one of his videos, I feel so proud I upset Joe Winko. Because he has a sick idea for fun, that's the reason why. And yeah, I hope you're proud of it. I mean, I can tell you, no one else watching this video is, unless they're sick like you are. Glenn, that's not your real name, but that's the name I'm going to use. You know I'm talking about you. I still think you look like Michael Myers, by the way. You are Michael Myers, if that picture even is you. Hell, I'd rather deal with Michael Myers. Huh. Gosh. Or even Devin, the person who gave me this weird bracelet that I can't take off for some reason because I don't know how to take it off, because he's the one who clipped it on me and buckled it on me. He was probably thinking, oh, I'm going to stab this boy in the back. He thinks I'm going to take him to Alabama. He's going to be so disappointed when I suddenly disappear on him and never talk to him again. Let me put this bracelet on him, a really difficult one to get off. He's going to be freaking out because he can't get this bracelet off, and he's going to feel so bad because this bracelet is just going to be a reminder to him about how I stabbed him in the back and didn't take him to Alabama. Well, guess what, bitch? I actually like this bracelet, and I'll proudly wear it. And I'm going to wear this bracelet. I mean, well, yeah, because I don't know how to take it off. I mean, it won't come off at all. I don't know how to undo this thing. He's the one who clipped it on me. But I'm going to wear this bracelet, and it's going to be a symbol. It's going to be a sign that just because a person's being really nice, they can pull a full 360 on you and stab you in the back. They can make plans with you, and they'll let you down, and they'll drop you. Like that. I mean, that's what this bracelet will mean to me. And, I always think that I would be used to that by now, that I'd be numb to that by now. Well, I'm not numb to it right now, but, this bracelet will help ease the pain of it the next time it happens again. The next time a random guy tells me that he wants to get together with me, he wants to go on a road trip with me, he wants to watch me do my YouTube video in a faraway town, and the next time I get really happy about it, really excited about it, and then eventually that never ends up happening because he never goes through with the plan at all and we never make it happen, I'm just going to look at this bracelet, and, well, first of all, I'm going to look at the bracelet even before I realize it's not going to happen. I'm just going to brace for it. I'm going to be like, okay, he's telling me all this nice stuff. He wants to go on a road trip with me. I'm going to look at the bracelet, and I'm going to go like, okay, I just have to brace for it, because it might not end up happening. And then, just for the record, the whole Alabama tornado video that I was planning on doing, that honestly was not going to be a happy video. I mean, it's not going to be a happy video. I'm not going to be smiling and laughing in that video. No. Oh, God, no, I'm not going to be smiling or laughing in that video. Because that video is supposed to be about a deadly tornado that killed a whole bunch of people in Alabama and that traveled a really long distance. Yeah, it is fascinating, but it's not something to be happy about. And the whole point of that video, it was going to be dedicated in memory of all the people who died. Like the tri-state tornado, that video was dedicated in memory of all the people who died. You remember the sad part at the ending of that video where I'm walking through the cemetery holding the flowers? I felt sorry for all those people, even though they died a really long time ago. But that's what the Alabama tornado video is going to be about, because that tornado was extremely powerful, but it doesn't even get talked about very often, besides the people in the towns that it hit, because it occurred during the 2011 super outbreak, and the towns that it hit were very small towns, like out in the middle of nowhere, out of the way really, that no one really thinks much of at all, honestly. Which is why I wanted to do a video about the tornado that hit there in memory of all the victims. And that's exactly what I plan on doing, and that's what I will do. Just hope that I can do it very soon. And I'm asking all of you guys to hope that I make it there very soon. I believe in the power of manifestation. I mean, mainly because I've been practicing a lot of witchcraft stuff. Here's my magic adventure rune stone, the face, and I did an episode of Joe Winko talk about this. The rune symbol for protection, the rune symbol for safe travels. What I'm supposed to do with this is I'm supposed to say to it all the places that I want to go, and once I finally make it there, I'm supposed to leave this stone there, and then I make another stone and the cycle starts all over again. But getting back to the power of manifestation, I want you guys to look at this picture. See that picture of the Alabama sign in the road? I want you guys to imagine me with my selfie stick. Imagine me talking and filming myself talking about a tornado that hit. And imagine me saying that it took years for me to find someone to take me there, and I'm doing a video about a bad tornado that hit. And imagine me with a serious look on my face, with my eyes wide open, because it was a really serious event, really. So, and it was a really scary and terrifying event for the people who had to live through it. So imagine me with my eyes open, because usually when I have my eyes wide open in a video, that makes the video look more serious and everything, because it's not going to be a happy video. And then imagine me standing by this river, and imagine me talking about the tornado crossing that river with my selfie stick and showing it all off and everything, and showing that that was the river that the tornado crossed. And just imagine that I get the video done in memory of all the people who passed away from that tornado. I mean, just imagine me standing out there talking about how the tornado crossed that river, and or me standing in front of that sign talking about the deadliest tornado in Alabama history, because that's exactly what it is, and the second longest traveling tornado in world history. That's exactly what this tornado was, even though it didn't get that much attention. So, just hope that I'm able to find someone to take me to northern Alabama. And just hope that it's very soon, please. And just hope that I make it there. And once again, you guys will watch me do the adventure runestone again. Say to it the places I want to go. Iuka, Mississippi. Red Bay, Alabama. Hackleburg, Alabama. Hamilton, Alabama. Phil Campbell, Alabama. Oak Grove, Alabama, Mount Hope, Alabama, Layton, Alabama, Dector, Alabama, Tanner, Alabama, Harvest, Alabama, Tony, Alabama, Huntland, Tennessee, Carrollton, Georgia. So that's that. And when I finally find someone to take me on that road trip, I'm supposed to leave this at the last place that we go to, the last destination that I whispered to it. And I want you guys all to imagine that happening, because it's also one of the last places on my bucket list. Besides that, the next place that I've been wanting to go to is back to Ohio, but not while it's this cold outside, really. But just imagine me leaving this. Imagine me leaving this stone at this intersection. Yeah, because if I'm leaving this stone down at this intersection, then that definitely means that I got the whole Alabama tornado trip done, because that's where the tornado ended. So just imagine me doing that. And there's another thing. Now, this is a reward that I'm going to be giving to the stranger who actually ends up taking me to Alabama. This trophy right here. I made this. And I'm pretty sure, I mean, hopefully you guys know who this is supposed to be. I mean, gosh. But, yeah, it's a trophy of me and shaped like Alabama, the Alabama shape right there. Now, I actually made, like, quite a few trophies like this. I haven't talked about these in any of my YouTube videos. I mean, I featured them in some of my posts I made online, but, this isn't the first trophy I made. The first one I made was for the guy who brought me to Texas back in summer 2021. Then there was the guy who brought me to Maine back in October of 2021. Then there was the guy who brought me to Key West, Florida in May 2022. Then the guy who brought me to Connecticut, Maine, and New Jersey in June of 2022. Then the guy who brought me to Texas, back to Texas, in September of 2022. Then there was the guy who brought me to Virginia and Long Island, New York, and Maryland in October of 2022. And this one is going to be going to the guy who takes me to Alabama, hopefully in November of 2022, as I had been hoping for, really. So just imagine me giving this trophy to the person who takes me to Alabama, and just hope that I make it there, really. But yeah, I'm still trying, and I do believe that I eventually will, really. Been trying this for a long time, but it's just weird how it's like one of the closest places I wanted to venture off to, yet I'm having such a difficult time finding it. So there's another stupid thing that I should probably mention in this video. I've been posting online about how I've been trying to find someone to take me to Alabama. I've been posting on Facebook. This one idiot, like, who I met on Grindr, who I don't even remember adding this guy as a friend. He typed in, "It's Grindr, don't cry about it. Most of them have hidden lives and families. It's not that serious. But a Greyhound ticket, that'll get you to Alabama without having to depend on anyone. Self-love first, my dude." Okay, that's a really stupid comment, and considering you know all the circumstances of exactly what I was planning on doing in Alabama. But first of all, I can't afford a Greyhound bus ticket to Alabama. Second, even if I could afford a Greyhound bus ticket to Alabama, all those towns that were hit by the tornado, the Greyhound bus does not go to any of them, really. And if you watch my tri-state tornado video, that's the same kind of video that I was planning on doing in Alabama. If you watch that video, you see me being driven through the towns in Missouri, Illinois, and Indiana by my adoptive dad, but you see me being driven through all those towns. You can't really film a video like that with a Greyhound bus, really. Someone has to literally drive me through those towns in order for me to film that video. So that's exactly what I'm looking for. I mean, it would be completely different if, like, no one was saying anything to me and stuff like that. But that's not what I'm complaining about. I'm complaining about the people who said they would take me there, but they didn't. And they're fucking idiots. All of them are fucking idiots, really. But I know that I'll eventually find someone to take me to northern Alabama. And also, the guy who left that comment was a straight up asshole. Really. I mean, I really don't care. It doesn't matter that Glenn didn't take me to Alabama. I'm upset that no one else is taking me there instead, really. That I haven't found anyone else to take me there instead. But I will eventually find someone else to take me there instead. And as soon as that happens, I will forget all about Glenn. In all honesty, I kind of did just forget about him, really. I mean, I think he's just another goon. But, which is exactly what he is. But, you know, I'm not upset because Glenn canceled. Well, I am upset that he canceled out on me. But it's not because Glenn canceled out on me. I mean, if someone else took me to Alabama, I'd be totally fine. But I really have been wanting to do the Alabama adventure for a while. And I'm looking for someone to take me there. And I'm looking for someone else to give this trophy to. So just hope that I end up finding that. So that's basically it for this episode of Joe Winko Talk. It was kind of a difficult thing for me to talk about because there was more stupid stuff that happened, but I didn't want this video to be too long. So let me know what you think. If you have anything judgmental to say, keep it to yourself because otherwise I'll just delete it. And just imagine me in front of that sign talking about the tornado. Imagine me standing at that river talking about the tornado crossing the river. Imagine me leaving my adventure runestone at this intersection, and just imagine me making it to Alabama, because the more people who imagine that, the more likely it'll be to happen. So that's basically it for this episode of Joe Winko Talk. Don't forget to like, don't forget to comment, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to like me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr. So that's it. Peace out, people.